The Cones of Dunshire, a brand new gaming experience. 8 to 12 players, 2 wizards, a maverick, the arbiter, 2 warriors, a corporal, and a ledgerman. Now the ledgerman just keeps score, and he wears this hat.
Oh boy.
Now the object is to accumulate cones. 4 cones wins, but in order to get a cone, you have to build a civilization. The other amazing thing is the challenge play. Actually, let me tell you more about the trivia cards, because you're going to need to know about rogue.
Alright, hello people of the internet, and welcome back to another exciting review of Midwest Tokusatsu's Toku Toy Time. This is Brock, and I am here this week to bring you awesomeness in figure form of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live-action role-play figures, Leonardo and Raphael, aka the A-Team. So, first thing you'll notice is there's only one packaging. This is not a 2-pack. They do get sold. They are sold individually. I just have thrown away by mistake Leonardo's before reviewing him because I really don't care to keep these packagings, but I always like to show them off to you in the review. So here it is for you to see. I'll just slide these figures back for a moment. Yay! So here it is for you guys to see. A little beaten up because of Amazon. Raph the Barbarian, that's what he is. Woo! Nice photo of all the turtles. Come around the side, absolutely nothing. Bottom's just got some stuff. On the back, you have a nice little bio. You can read that if you like. Pause is your friend. Nice image of Raph here. We'll talk about this in a second and why. Also, this is going to be our reference image for LARP Leo. Again, we'll talk about that in a second. So, off to the side. Before we do anything, let's take a look at the actual figures themselves. And I gotta say, they are really, really nice. After seeing this episode, I debated whether or not to get these figures. And by the time I decided I wanted to get them, they were already pretty much on their last leg of being on the shelves. So it was kind of a hunt to get all 4. I do have all 4. I'll be reviewing the other 2 a little later. But yeah, I really gotta say these figures are so much fun. So let's just first take a look at, we'll take a look at Leo first. So, as you can see, Leo is the knight. He has everything about these figures. The reason why I love them so much is they really took into account, like, what would the guys make their live-action role-play suits out of when they live in a sewer. So when you look at this carefully, you can just see all of those little, like, touches. So first, let's just take a look at the helmet, which all the helmets do remove. So if we look at his helmet, stay standing, you can see that he's basically just taken a garbage can, turned it upside down, cut out for his face and his bandana, and then painted on his mask onto the front. For the sides, you can see he's taken carpenter squares and shoved them in to create kind of a horn section. And the front, I don't know what that's supposed to be. Maybe a utility knife of some kind? I don't know. But I really like that. I mean, they put a lot of actual molding detail in here just to make it look like a carpenter square, so I really appreciate that. But headpiece, it fits on pretty well. The idea is that you're supposed to be able to see the white of his eyes through the helmet, and it's kind of difficult to get lined up. And then once you do line it up, it just shifts. The helmet does not really stay in any sort of place other than facing somewhat forward. It's kind of crap that way. It's loose, but can't really complain when the overall look of the figure is just really nice. Now, his weapons, he's got one of his katana blades that he's then taken and added a medieval hilt to out of things, little pieces of plywood, I think, something like that. His shield, his mighty shield, is nothing more than a trash can. He's got basically soup cans for lower arm guards, it looks like. And then he's got this nice wide sort of belt around his side that he's made for more medievalness. And then his shoulder pads, this is where it gets cool. He's taken a stop sign and ripped it in half and then formed two of those sections together with some chain in the front to make his sort of shoulder pauldrons, with then a rubber ducky towel hanging down his back. I love the molded in detail so that it looks like it's actually sort of forming to his shell. That's really nice. They could have just had it straight. The rubber ducky is just gorgeous. You can see with the stop sign that it's actually two different stop signs because it's two layers of stop signs, so underneath is the other half of it. But I really dig that. I really dig what they did for the figure. If you're careful, you could get this up and over, but the easiest way really is you can just come here and, I've seen it done, pop his head, and then you can take that off. Swap it with maybe one of the other turtles, and then you just push it back on. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave him as Knight Leo. So, ooh, that's kind of solved. Kind of was hanging back. You just push it forward a little. And if you want to get it in there nice and easy, just take the head off and push it forward, and then it'll sit a lot better. Should have done that before the review. So that's kind of LARP Leo. As you can see, his shield kind of isn't held very tightly, but put his helmet back on for the moment, and we'll take a look at Raph the Barbarian. Stand, Leo. Thank you. So here he is, Raph the Barbarian. Yeah, so here he is, Barbarian Raph, and he's got his nice big giant murder axe of doom, just doomage. And the really cool thing is, we'll take a look at his helmet here quick. They really did a good job with these, just like the materials they're made out of from the sewer. So if we focus in here on the helmet, you can see that the top of it is supposed to be like a calendar, like a just spaghetti strainer. He's then got a belt wrapping around it, a studded belt that has a skull clasp. I don't know where he got the horns from, but then it's just a towel hanging down. So it makes this really cool headpiece, and I love that the horns are not perfectly straight. So with him, his helmet sits on a lot better. It just fits right over his head, and you know, it's much easier then to turn his head and shift it back, unlike with Leo, where it's hard to see where his eyes are necessarily pointing. So that's his helmet. If you take a look at the actual body, he's got all this nice sort of wool cloth that he's just got hanging off of him, with more studded belts all the way around, just holding everything into place. Really nice take on the Barbarian. And then, of course, you can just come back here and pull his bandana through. I like that they all have these slits on the helmet, so you can do that. But that's pretty much Barbarian Raph. Now, if we talk about posability with all of these guys, I mean, they're fairly posable. They're all hindered by the fact that they've got, you know, the big chunky clothes, which means that it's really hard to get their arms down to their side. It's the only thing that's really an annoying factor to it. Other than that, I mean, you've got up and down motion. I mean, you can move the arms forwards, backwards, rotate at the wrist here, or not the wrist, but the elbow, rotate at the wrist. The legs, they've got some finicky motion, but forwards, backwards, no in and outs, but you can rotate at the hip. You can rotate at the knee. Motion in the knee is pretty good. And you can also rotate, like I said, knee. I thought it was at the top as well, but just at the bottom. Still, though, pretty good posability. As far as Leo's posability was concerned, didn't really go over that. I mean, you've got the motion in the head, a little bit up and down. His is really hindered by his sides. I mean, his arms don't go down much at all. But, I mean, most of the time you've kind of got the shield forward and the sword up high, so that's okay. Same motion in the legs and everything, but you've got a lot more in and out movement here just because there's no, you know, big side piece holding it back. Knees, not really hindered. Again, same rotation joint, so they're pretty straightforward as far as posability is concerned. It's okay. I will say this, his axe is a little bit hard to move in and out of his hand. I mean, you work it a little bit and then it'll start going in and out a lot easier, but I do like that you can have them holding it low, have them holding it high. You can't get it both hands, though. There's no real way to get... Keep going out of shot here. There's no real way to get his hands together on the axe. Even if you bottom it out, I mean, you can kind of get the slightest little bottom bit in. Now it's kind of... He's got two-handed carried, but you can see it just falls right out. So, those are the figures themselves. Now, I was talking before about the box, and this is important because what I want to point out to you is, all right, this is a nitpick. It's a nitpick, but it's something I want to point out because I think it's important. Paint apps. On toys like these, I think if I were to just look at these toys, I'd say, okay, they're great. They're good interpretations of what was in the show. They're not accurate, but I paid under $10 for each of them. So why should I complain? But there's a difference between paint apps that are actually on it and paint apps that are promised. And as you can see, I've got this frame, so you can just see, here's Raph, and here's Raph in the background. If we bring him closer, you can see a lot of paint that was on the promotion figure when they were figuring out is missing. In fact, all of the paint from the axe, which was apparently brown with an actual painted handle, black at the top, silver on the end, that's all gone. It's just one silver piece. The calendar actually had 2 tones of silver to it to separate the belt from the actual helmet piece, and all of the studs on the actual belts around his body were all filled in silver, and as you can see, it's just black. And I think the figure kind of suffers from that. There's so much black on here that it kind of takes away from it. There's nothing to break it up, and it just, I don't know. Raph is my favorite turtle, and he's just, there's something about this figure where it suffers from being too, it doesn't have any breakup. I don't know. It's a nitpick I have. I know a lot of people aren't going to see it, aren't going to care about it, but I'm probably going to try and go in and at least add some of the silver back to it that was promised in the photos. And even on the front, I mean, it's one thing, again, if they had changed the images to match the figures that were inside, that would have been one thing. But they left the promo figure images in here when they were showing them off, and therefore now you've just got, a vastly different figure. Now, where I say that he suffers a lot from the missing paint apps as far as just blotches of color, Leo is probably the worst offender just from his shoulder pauldrons. As you can see here, and if we can get it to focus, again, I wish I had the big box to show you, you can see that his original figure had actual painted stop signs with red and white. And yeah, there was, it probably wasn't in the cards, and you can see that the helmet didn't even have the blue painted on there, so they gave you the blue and sacrificed the red and the white. But I think that if they had at least kept the shoulder pauldrons with that painted red and white, it would have, I don't know, I think it would have just been a better figure. It would have had something more to it. But again, that's something I'm going to try and go back and add. I'm actually going to leave the white borders that they have on here, because, that's how stop signs are, and then just try and add in the white race letters and the red underneath, and hope that, I do a good enough job with it. So maybe one day when I get a chance to do that, hopefully soon, I'll post photos for everyone to see how I did. If you think it's bad, you can just let me know then. But again, I feel that this is just something I want to let you guys know. I mean, I know it's a nitpick of mine, paint apps, but they're important. I think that they really can help set a figure apart, and they can, really make them more fun and much more desirable. The only other thing I'm going to say quick about these figures is you can take the helmets and, come off. You can totally just swap them in and out with the figures. So now you've just got, you've got Barbarian Raph with his knightly helmet, and then the knight with the sort of barbarian skull. Oh, I'm angry. So just another cool thing that they did. So I'm not trying to say that these figures are bad. In fact, I'm trying to say the opposite. These figures are amazing and great. It's just I kind of wish that they would have, given us what they had said they were going to give us. That's it. That's my only complaint. But other than that, would I go out and get these? Yes, absolutely. Go out, get these now. Find them if you can. If not, go to Amazon as quick as you can, because The next wave of turtle figures are probably going to be coming out soon. They just had the episode with the Mystic Turtles, so I've seen photos of what those are going to look like. Probably going to pick those up because I really like the design of them. So, again, yeah, highly recommend getting these. So, I think that about does it for this review. If you like what you saw and you want more, please click that subscribe button. Like, comment, share, and favorite the video. And if you want to see a specific review, comment below. You can follow us over at Facebook. Details will be in the description. Remember, we're also on Instagram. Once again, this has been Brock of Midwest Tokusatsu and Toku Toy Time, and we're out. Yeah!
Next time on Toku Toy Time.
3 dice to see how many dice you roll with. Oh, 16. Perfect. Lots of choices. Okay, each turn goes roll, buy, action. I mean, obviously this would be much taller in the real game. But the corporal can veto. This should be green too. How did this happen? Are the cones a metaphor? Well, yes and no.
What is this called again?
The cones of Dunshire. Oh my god. The Maverick should be able to trade lumber for agriculture credits. How have I not thought of this before?